Okay, so here we are in the flower slash end composition where we've got a lot of stuff going on and it seems really complicated, but it's actually not. So let's look at our commercial, and I'm going to try to freeze frame at a couple points just so we can get an idea of what is going on. So we're on our last frame or so of the platter composition, or just that orange crackers left. And so we had the cracker scaling up. It loses its little cutout circles, and it has this sort of flower kind of thing going on with the text appearing. And it keeps scaling up, and then it kind of flashes through a couple colors, and the text keeps scaling, and then it moves over, and some other text slides in. And then there's all this crazy box stuff, but we're not doing any of that. So there's a lot of really quick stuff going on. So let's get started here. All right, so let's go ahead and look at our cheat sheet. We've got pretty simple things going on. If we look at our small orange Ritz, we've got the masks disappearing so that those holes aren't there anymore, and then just a simple scale. And we have everything parented to that small orange Ritz, so we don't have to keep doing those keyframes and everything except the orange solid. So let's go ahead and get started here. Let's parent everything. So I'm going to select everything except the small orange Ritz and the orange solid, and just parent them all to that small orange Ritz there. And let's just start scaling him up. So I'm going to put or hit S on the keyboard for the scale. I'm going to hit the stopwatch to get my keyframes going, and then maybe just move 20 keyframes ahead and scale it all the way up, and we want it scaled so that we don't see any edges here. And I'm going to hit M on my keyboard now so that I can see all the masks, so that I can get rid of all these little holes on there. So I'm going to go to the very beginning, and I'm going to toggle one of these down so that I can hit the mask expansion. So I'm going to set a stopwatch keyframe, and it's setting it on all of them because I have them all highlighted still. And I'm just going to move ahead maybe like 5 frames and scale that expansion down so that they disappear. So I can see at even -13 they're not there anymore. So if I scrub through that, I can see that these holes are disappearing, but they kind of don't disappear fast enough. Like maybe right here they should be gone. So I'm going to move forward and highlight all of these masks again so the change happens to everything. And I'm just going to change the mask expansion to an even higher number, like maybe -47 is what I'm at now. So now if I scrub through, they sort of kind of pop off just because there's so much happening so quickly. So, and that looks more correct, like what we want it to be. And so I'm just going to hit S again so I just see that scaling thing happen, and I'm going to change the keyframe so that this one is easy easing out and this one easy eases in. And now we can see we've got the basic sort of stuff happening here. Let's try to watch that again. So there's a lot of flashing going on, and if we can freeze frame here. So this cracker starts scaling up, and then these flowers come out. They're not immediately there like they are here. So if we move forward even like 3 frames, then we can have them sort of pop on by just appearing. So I'm going to highlight the large orange Ritz layer, the red Ritz, and the cream Ritz, and option bracket those so that it just appears. If we scrub through that, we see we've got our cracker, and then the holes disappear and it starts scaling up, and then this sort of flower thing starts happening. It all keeps scaling. And let's go ahead and look at our cheat sheet and see what else we've got going on. So we don't have the small orange Ritz or the the red Ritz and then the large one and the cream Ritz on screen for very long. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this small orange Ritz layer till about maybe right there, just a little bit ahead of 15 frames. And then I'm going to cut the red Ritz and the orange Ritz at about that same time. So, and then the cream Ritz looks like it lasts just a little bit longer, so I'll scrub through and maybe cut it right about there. And we're doing that so that we have that sort of flashing of colors. So when all these crackers disappear, then it flashes to a new color. And let's look at what we've got going on. So let's check out our commercial one more time. So it flashes the cream color and then it fades to the orange color. So to do that, we're going to change this orange solid to, we'll sort of cut it off right about here, like right at maybe 1 frame before 15 frames. And we're going to hit T on the keyboard for opacity. And I'll keyframe that and move ahead maybe 5 frames. And I'm going to set that at 100%. So it's fading on, and if I just scrub through that, we've got the flash of the cream color, and then the orange fades on, just like in the real commercial. So let's preview that. Alright, looks pretty good. There's just really a lot going on. Let's go back to our cheat sheet and see what else we need to do here. Which it looks like maybe our color is fading faster, so I'll just move that keyframe over, maybe 1. And then we have this black solid that fades on just really quickly. So let's take care of that. And if we look at the opacity, mine's set at 0, but I think you guys' were at 100% to begin with. So I'm going to set the opacity here and move ahead maybe just 3 frames. And so we want it to go from 0 to 100%. So it's at 0 and then goes to 100%. As it is scaling up with that small orange Ritz layer. And we can make sure that we check the stars for these solids so that they're continuously being rasterized. If we zoom in on this, we can see that the edge of the solid is fuzzy, but if we hit the continuously rasterize star button, then it makes it much more solid and clean. So now I've got this solid scaling up with everything. And this is to take care of covering the background for the other comps once we start nesting them. So everything is looking pretty good. I think the last thing we have to do is animate the text layers. So once it scales up and the color changes, right in between 15 frames and a second, then that's when the scale and position changes happen with the Ritz text layer. So I'm going to hit S and hold Shift and P. So I have both the position and scale open. I'm going to keyframe both of those and move ahead about 10 frames. And I'm going to move the position over, and I think it moves up a little bit, and I'm also going to scale it down a little bit, which maybe, let's watch our commercial and see what theirs does. So maybe the Ritz cracker doesn't actually move up that high. So let's keep that value the same. Alright, so it really just moves over and scales down. And that might be moved over too much, so I'm going to make sure I'm on that keyframe and move it over here. And so now, once that is done scaling down, the Open for Fun slides on. Oh, it looks like it froze a little bit there. So let's just look at our cheat sheet. So once that is done sliding on, we're going to ease those keyframes, so easy ease out and easy ease in. And looks like maybe one keyframe after that happens, then our text starts sliding, which we don't need it to be here until we're done. So I'm going to cut that layer, and I'm going to open up the position. I'm going to set a keyframe over here and move it off screen, because if we watch our movie again, hopefully it doesn't freeze, then it slides in from the side, unlike how it did in the other parts where it slid in from a point over here. So it's off screen, and then I'm going to move ahead 10 frames and move it over, which it looks like it's not quite lining up with the Ritz text. So I'm going to change the positioning on one of these. So if I'm selected on one of these keyframes and highlight both and then change the position, then it'll affect both positionings. You have to have both keyframes selected and be on a keyframe so that it changes everything. Alright, that's close, but these two should be the same, so it should be -1.2. So I'm going to type in -1.2. And oh, so that it looks like I overwrote everything. So undo, and I'm just going to try to line this up appropriately. Okay, there, got it. Hopefully, yep, so now I've got my text sliding on, and it kind of bounces, so to get that bounce in there, I'm going to move ahead maybe like 3 frames from where this is at, and sort of, oops, not that one, bounce it over to the right, move another 3 keyframes, and then bounce it back to the original position. So now if we sort of scrub through that, it bounces in. Kind of too much right here. So maybe we'll move this keyframe over here a bit. So now let's see what happens. So now it bounces in pretty good. Let's look at our cheat sheet. And so it looks like we have it easing out and then in, and then those 2 keyframes in the middle there stay the same. So let's make that happen. Easy ease out and easy ease in for the first and last keyframe. So let's preview that. Oops. Alright, I think we've got some motion blur going on too, maybe. I guess we can try it and see what happens and see if it's too much if we motion blur the text. And then we've got to enable it here too. Nice, that looks really good. So I think that is it. So we're almost done here. Now we just need to nest a bunch of these comps into this original edit composition, and then we'll be done.